Hello, welcome to another episode of Sy Huffer and Friends. This is a podcast that's designed to help you flourish at life and relationships. My name is Sy Huffer. I am your host. I'm the lead pastor at the Gathering Christian Church in Naples, Florida. The reason we call this Sy Huffer and Friends is because my friends are amazing, and I want you to get to know them because they have helped me flourish in life and relationships, and you getting to know them will help you flourish in those areas too. So the way this podcast works is each month I will introduce a topic by myself and just kind of teach what I know on that topic. And then I'll bring in people over the next several weeks to continue to help us unpack that topic and that theme for the month. And so if you like what you're hearing, if you want to follow along and get the full picture on each topic, it really is listening to all 4 episodes. And so you need to follow us on Instagram at Sy Huffer and Friends. You can like us and follow and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. And if there's anything you'd ever want us to talk about to help you flourish in a specific area, please comment on our YouTube channel. We'd love to see what those comments are so that we can adequately customize these episodes for you. So the month of August, we're going to be focusing on evangelism, on this idea of sharing your faith. What does it mean to live as a missionary, to be sent by Jesus? That's what it means to be a missionary, to be sent by Jesus into the world, to be a light in the darkness, to be a blessing and not a curse, to share what God has done in your life with others so that they can have the full life that Jesus is giving you. At our church, we talk about this all the time. We believe that you are made for more than the life you are striving or settling for. Jesus said in John 10:10, I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. That's what Jesus promises. He promises to give you the full life, the abundant life, the good life, what we call the made for more life. And we believe that made for more life, as we've studied scripture and been part of a church for decades now, and in leadership over the last 15 years, we have seen that the made for more life comes from your involvement in 3 gatherings. A worship gathering that helps you live out and understand what it means that your past does not define you because of the gospel. A home gathering, which is a group of people that meets in a home and encourages each other in the highs and lows of life and helps each other follow Jesus. That home gathering is centered around the value, the belief that your presence shouldn't isolate you because of the church, because we're a family. And the last gathering might be the most ethereal and hard one to live out. It's called the mission gathering of the church. And this centers around the value that your future will surprise you, that Jesus sends you into a harvest field, into a corner of the globe, to an intersection, to a circle that you have influence in, and wants you, and is sending you through the power of the Holy Spirit to make a difference in that pocket of the world. That's what it means to be part of the mission gathering of Jesus. We get this straight from Matthew 9:38. Okay, Matthew 9:35-38 is like my life ministry passage. This is where we get the mission gathering idea from. It's the idea that there's a harvest, there's a field full of crops that's called the harvest. In order to get those crops, you need people to go out into the field and to work the field and to go harvest the crops in to the storehouse, into the barn. That's literally where we got the word, the church, the gathering. We were trying to come up with the name of the church, and I was wrestling through, like, what is our name? We had so many ideas that were bad, some ideas that just didn't work. And I was prayer walking one morning, and Jesus said to me, like, what is in you? Like, what have I put in you? And I remember saying in Matthew 9:38, harvest is plentiful, workers are few. And he goes, that's it. And I was like, well, but I don't like the word harvest. Like, that's a weird word we don't use day in and day out in our world. And he said, what's another name for harvest? So I went to a thesaurus. I searched harvest. And the second option, I think, was gathering. Because what you do for the harvest is you go out into the world and you gather people into the church. Like, that's what farmers do. They go out into the field and they gather crops into the barn. We are sent by God out into the world to gather people in who are lost, who are hurting, who are in pain, into his family to help them come back home to be with their Father. And so that's what the mission gathering is all about. What does it look like for you to be a blessing in the world? And I always talk about the mission gathering, Matthew 9:35-38, is the head, shoulders, knees, and toes of the Bible. You know the old song, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, right? That we grew up singing as kids. Well, in Matthew 9:35-38, there's these body parts that Jesus talks about that if you're not If you're not looking, you won't see them. But they will literally guide you on what it means to work a harvest field. First is, I always teach them, it's your feet, eyes, gut, and knees. And if I was teaching this in a message or a sermon, I would have you stand up and sing feet, eyes, gut, and knees, gut, and knees. But as you're driving or working out, don't do that. But that's how it works. If you want to be part of the mission gathering of Jesus, you follow the body parts in Matthew 9:35-38. First is your feet. Okay, Matthew 9:35 says this: Jesus went through the towns and villages, preaching the good news of the kingdom and healing every disease and sickness among the people. The very first thing that Jesus did is he put his feet where hurting people were. He put his feet in the world where people existed that and were present and were living that were not yet part of his community, that were not yet part of the church, that were not part of the kingdom. And if you don't know people who are far from God, like that's the first question I ask. Give me names. Who are people that are close to you but far from God? If you don't know anybody, don't have any names, then your feet are not going to the right places. You need to change where your feet go. It means your feet, where you go day in and day out, your routes, your routines, your rhythms, they're not taking you to places where people in the world are that do not go to church, that don't know Jesus, that are in dire need of good news. No, you're just putting your feet around other Christians, other people that already know Jesus. So the first thing you have to change is where you put your feet. And so for me, I have every day a harvest field I go to. Like, what's a place where people are that don't yet know Jesus? And I go and I put my feet in that place and try to be present in that spot so that I can just get to know names of people who aren't yet part of a church, who are hurting, who are searching. And so that's the first thing you do is you got to change your feet. Secondly is eyes. It says this: when he saw the crowds, when he saw the people, like, put your feet in places and then have eyes for people who are hurting and who are in need. Do you see the world the way Jesus does? Do you see the person by themselves, sitting alone? Do you see the person who is staring out into space because they don't know what else to do? Do you see the person who's drinking too much? Do you see the person who has bloodshot eyes because of a wild night last night, or because they've been crying this morning? Like, do you see people as children made in the image of God who are lost and who are hurting? There was a moment, we were at Universal and Islands of Adventure with our friends, and there was a moment where we didn't know exactly where both of our kids were, and it wasn't a long moment. It may have been like 1 minute or so. Like, I can't remember, I think it was Chandler. It was like just standing by another family. It wasn't even far off, but I had this panic moment of like, oh my gosh, I'm at Universal Studios. Here's my one daughter. Where's my other daughter? And for 1 minute, I was looking, and then all of a sudden she was standing right there next to one of my friends. For that 1 minute, I got a little glimpse of what our Heavenly Father feels for his children that do not yet know his love. He is seeking them out. The Bible says Jesus came to seek and save the lost. That's why he came. That's why he came. He leaves, the good shepherd leaves he has 100 sheep, and if one wanders off, he leaves the 99 in the open field in danger to go find that one. That's how much he cares about those that have wandered away. Do you see people around you, where you work, where you live, where you learn, where you play? Do you see those people there as God's lost children that you get to help find? Like, do you see the world the way Jesus does? And it says this: feet, eyes, gut is the next one. Feet, eyes, gut, and knees. Gut's the next one. It says this: when he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them. That Greek word compassion is the Greek word splankna. And it's literally the idea of your bowels, that you get sick to your stomach. Like, when you see people who are hurting, when you see the crowds, the people that are far from God, that don't have a shepherd, do you get sick to your stomach about it? Does God break your heart for the things that breaks his heart? And it says this: he saw the harassed and the helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Those two words are rich in the Greek language. Like, harass is literally the idea of just like being cut open and being displayed, where all of the junk and all of the mess and all of the baggage of your past is put out for the world to see. Like, this is people who've been abused, who've been shamed to the world. And then there's the helpless word. This is the Greek word ripto. It's the idea of like think of a piece of paper being crumpled up and tossed aside. It's used as to describe what they do with a big box, weighted tackle box, basically on a ship in Acts 27. That when the ship is sinking, they take all the weight and they're tossing it overboard. They're riptoing it. And there's people who feel neglected, not abused like the harass word, but neglected, the helpless word. Those have been tossed aside by the world. They feel like no one knows, no one cares. Is your heart broken about them? So much so that you feel sick to your stomach. That's what the word compassion means. Like it is, put your feet where people are that don't know Jesus. Have eyes to see them, and then see them for what they really are. Feel their pain and get sick about the pain that they're feeling, the hell on earth reality they're living in right now. Like that's what we should be focusing on and feeling. Because when you do that, then you want to pursue them. You want to love them. You are motivated to care for them and love them the way Jesus does. And this is when he says, okay, now that you have the right motivation, get on your knees. It's feet, eyes, gut, then knees. Okay. He says, the harvest is plentiful, the workers are few. Listen to that for a moment. What's the problem? Oscar Murillo from the Nairobi Chapel in Nairobi, Kenya, always talks about this. Like the problem isn't the harvest. We always talk about how like the harvest is terrible. The harvest is the world, and it's hard, and it's tough, and it's going to hell in a handbasket. That's not what Jesus says. Jesus says the harvest is plentiful. Like it's rich, it's full, it's for the taking. Like go get the harvest. The problem is not the harvest. The problem is that we don't have enough workers. We don't have enough people who are sent into the world to go make a difference in the world. We need more workers for the harvest field, right? That's a problem. So what does he tell them to do? He says, ask, get on your knees, ask and pray that the Lord of the harvest will raise up more workers for the harvest field. That's what we do. So feet, are you putting your feet where people who don't know Jesus live, where they congregate, where they hang out? Eyes, do you have eyes to see them? Gut, do you get sick and get broken by the things that they're broken about, that God's broken about? And the knees, are you praying for them and asking the Lord to move in a powerful way? So that's Matthew 9:35-38. That's what you do with your feet, your eyes, your gut, and your knees. So when you are on mission with Jesus and sent to a harvest field, live those out, okay? And then what I want to teach you is once you start praying, I'm going to teach you some rhythms in your life that you need to do as you share your faith with others. This is what we call our B.L.E.S.S rhythms. I got this from Dave Ferguson and John Ferguson, their book, B.L.E.S.S. You can use that and read that. It's great. They unpack that more, but I'm going to go a quick review here. Like literally, when you start having eyes to see people who are hurting, you have names, your heart aches for them, and you start praying. This is what you do. This is 5 rhythms to live out as you work a harvest field. Here they are. The first one is this, B, and it's an acronym, B.L.E.S.S. So the first rhythm is B, begin with prayer. Okay, if you are asking the Lord to raise up workers for the harvest field, then pray by name for one person every day in your harvest field. Who's that one person? Who's your one that you're praying for every single day that they might come to know the love of Christ? The way I do this, it's very simple. I set my phone alarm to go off at 1 o'clock every day, and I pray for my one. Every day, alarm goes off. Okay, Lord, I'm going to lift up Steve or Paul or Jason or Jim or Ralph or I mean just whatever name. I'm going to lift up Caitlin or I'm going to lift up Kathy or whoever it is. It doesn't take long to say, Lord, help me bless Joe. Lord, help me bless John. Give me opportunities to bless them today. Give me opportunities to love them, to serve them, to care for them. Just make it as short and as quick as possible. It doesn't have to be long. Or if you want to, spend as much time praying for them as you want. But pray every day for your one. Then is the L. The L rhythm stands for the word listen. Like get time with that one, that person, whoever it is, and you need to listen for 2 things. Okay. You want to listen for their pain. Like, what are they mourning? How are they hurting? What's stressing them out? Like, you want to learn that about them, not because you care about them. You want to know what's going on in their life. Romans tells us we mourn with those who mourn, and we rejoice with those who rejoice. And so you want to listen to what their pain is and their praise. Like, what are they celebrating? What are they excited about? Like, what is going really great in their life, and how can you be excited with them? People need On both ends of the emotional spectrum, that's where they need people to step in the most. It's like when I'm down, when I'm hurting, when things are tough, I need people to step in and feel those emotions with me, to empathize with me. And then I'm celebrating. I'm excited. I want to share with you, I got a promotion, or I got a new car, or hey, I shot a 74 on my favorite golf course. People need you to celebrate with you, to rejoice with you on the great things that are happening in their life. And so listen for those things. Whatever those things are, step into those emotions with them. Grieve with those who grieve. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Then comes the E of the B.L.E.S.S rhythm. It's to eat. It's to eat. That's it. There is something mysterious and yet sacred about eating a meal with someone else. Romans 12 tells us Paul says in Romans 12 to pursue hospitality. Now, that word pursue is not just like, he also says practice hospitality in different translations. It's not just like practice like you practice your piano, like your parents say, hey, go practice your piano, or go practice, dribbling outside, or go hit some balls at the range or whatever. No. It's so much more intense than that. The Greek word for pursue or practice hospitality is the word dioko. And it's the same word they use to describe persecution. To persecute someone is to go after them and to make their life miserable, and to keep chasing them and pursuing them and going after them with a fervent zeal. That's the word. Go after hospitality with a fervent zeal. Pursue it. Run after it with all you got. Friends, there are a few things that can have a greater impact than literally inviting the person you're praying for over to your house for dinner. Like, say, hey, I've heard people tithing, their money, 10% of every dollar that they make, they give to the church. Tithe your meals. Like if you eat, 30 meals a week, or not a week, 30, if you're eating, 21 meals a week, how can 2 of them tithe to the kingdom? Tithe to your one. Like 1 to 2 to 3 meals a week. Like, how do you use eating to help share life with other people? I'm a lunch guy. I love going out to lunch with my friends. And I think that eating a lunch with someone else and having good food and talking over lunch is one of the best things you can do to create friendship and connection. And so whoever that person is that is close to you but far from God, that doesn't know Jesus, like, eat with them, invite them over to your house for dinner, cook them a meal, and just bless them. Don't be awkward. Don't be weird. Don't try to give a gospel presentation that night. Just bless those people with food and with a good time. Okay, eat. The next part of our acronym, our rhythm, is to serve. It's to serve other people. As you pray for your one, you listen to their pain and their praise, and you eat with them. You're going to get to know different ways that you can serve them, that you can meet their needs of what they're going through, whether it's financial crisis, or they're having struggles around the house, or they don't know how to do this, that, or the other. They don't know where to get the beach pass for Collier County to go to the beach without paying a fee or whatever. Like, help serve them. Hey, I'll show you. Meet me here and I'll walk you through it. Or hey, let me mow your lawn for you. I know you guys are out. Or hey, I heard you getting a procedure. We want to start a meal train for you right after your procedure so that you have food for you every day for the next 2 weeks as you heal and recover. Those are all simple ways to serve people and to show them with your actions that you care and that you love them. Good deeds lead to goodwill, which leads to opportunities to share the good news. Okay. News, the good news of Jesus, it can't just be ideas. It must be embodied. Literally, John 1:14 says the word became flesh. The logos, the idea, the truth, the word, it was embodied in the person of Jesus. And so the good news of the kingdom is not just news that is shared with your words. It has to be that, but it also has to be embodied, meaning the love of the Father is being lived out by your hands, by your feet, by your actions, by serving people who are in need. So embody the gospel, the good news of Jesus with your actions, serving them. And then lastly, after you begin with prayer, you listen, you eat, you serve, the last rhythm is this story. And it's not tell the story of the whole Bible. No, It's tell your story, your testimony of how Jesus changed you. It's very simple. All you got to say is, this is who I was like before Jesus. This is how I met Jesus. This is who I am after Jesus. Before Jesus, I was all about Sy. I wanted to become famous. I wanted to have a major impact in the world. I wanted my name to be known on the lips of people. Then I met Jesus. And he showed me that my life was centered around me. And when my life is centered around me, it hurts myself and those around me. And he humbled me. And he gave me a bigger purpose for life, not just to make myself famous, but to make the creator of the universe, the God who died on the cross, famous to the world. So now my life is dedicated to that mission. That purpose is, I want to make Jesus famous everywhere I go. I want to help people know how amazing the gospel is, the kingdom is, and the church is. And I'm slowly dying to self and that desire for myself to know Jesus, to make my name famous every single day. I'm still a work in progress. That's my story. And it's given me more satisfaction in life than anything else. That's my story. What I love about telling your story is no one can argue with your story. No one can say, no, that's not true. That didn't really happen. That's not how you feel. They can't argue with your story because your story is yours. And that's why in Revelation 12, it says, we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our stories, our testimonies. There's this moment in the life of Jesus where he heals a blind guy. This guy had been blind from birth, and he puts his hands on him, he heals him, and he can now see. And the religious leaders are upset because he healed them on the Sabbath, and the blind guy said, I don't know who he is. And they said, who healed you? Who is this guy? And he's basically saying, it's Jesus. And they're like, Jesus isn't a good dude. And they start kind of denouncing Jesus in front of this guy who'd just been healed by him. And so what did the guy say, the blind guy? He said this, I don't know what you think about Jesus, who exactly he is. One thing I do know, I was blind, but now I see. And friends, that's the power of story. No one can argue with you about your story, about you sharing with someone else. I don't know all the ins and outs of Jesus and Christianity and the Bible. Here's what I do know. I used to be an alcoholic, and now I'm not. I used to struggle with gossip, and now I don't. My life was centered on me, and now I have a greater purpose for life. Like I used to struggle with depression and anxiety, but now I've been freed from the chains of worry because I have a God who cares. Like there's so many ways in which God is transforming you. And when you share how he's transformed you, no one can argue with that because that's your story. That's your testimony. And that's deeply personal, but also it's deeply compelling. It's how we overcome our enemy. So that is how you go about sharing your faith with others. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes of the Bible, feet, eyes, gut, knees. Put your feet where lost people are. Have eyes to see them. Have your heart break for things that breaks their hearts. And then start to get on your knees and pray. And then as you begin in prayer, you live out the rhythms of B.L.E.S.S. You begin with prayer. Pray for one every day. You listen to their pain and their praise. You eat. You have an over for meal and be hospitable. You serve their needs, whatever they are. And then you tell them your story, how Jesus has transformed you. We have some upcoming episodes on this to unpack the different ways we get in the way of us living as missionaries, as us working on harvest field, as us being pursuing evangelism and sharing our faith with others. And so make sure you just follow along over the next several weeks. We're going to have an interview with my wife, Monica Huffer, who does this better than most anyone I know. That'll be great. We're going to do a Q&A with Lindsay and Andy again about hey, here's some questions that people have about how do you share your faith. And then we're going to have a special guest later in the month that will interview specifically on this topic of what does it mean to be a missionary, where you live, work, learn, and play. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Sy Huffer and Friends. If you enjoy this content or this channel, please follow along on Instagram at Sy Huffer and Friends. We have an Apple and Spotify, and we're on Apple and Spotify podcasts as well as we have a YouTube channel. You can subscribe there as well. But we want to just stay in the know, stay connected in knowing what you like, what you'd like to hear more about, so that we can make this really, really help you. This podcast help you flourish in life and relationships as well. Remember, you're made for more, so don't settle for anything less. Have a great day.